Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Newsbrowse News broadcast. According to the Asahi Shimbun, Russian President Vladimir Putin announced on May 12 the successful test launch of the new Sarmat intercontinental ballistic missile, ICBM. He expressed confidence that this largest-class missile would significantly enhance Russia's ground-based strategic nuclear forces in terms of targeting and deterrence. The announcement comes just after a three-day ceasefire with Ukraine concluded, signaling a nuclear threat to the international community. Putin highlighted that the Sarmat can carry over 10 nuclear warheads and is considered Russia's strongest ICBM. He publicly boasted about its capabilities, stating that its total nuclear warhead power is more than 4 times that of the most powerful American and European missiles. Furthermore, he claimed that the Sarmat has a range exceeding 35,000 kilometers and is capable of penetrating current and future missile defense systems. Russian military commanders reported that the Sarmat is scheduled for deployment in the Krasnoyarsk region by the end of the year. UPI reports that Synergy Marine, the operator of the container ship MV Dolly, and its technical superintendent, Radhakrishnan Karthik Nair, are facing federal charges related to the 2024 collapse of the Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore. The indictment includes charges of conspiracy, willfully failing to immediately inform the U.S. Coast Guard of a known hazardous condition, obstruction of an agency proceeding, and making false statements. The 2 companies associated with Synergy Marine also face misdemeanor charges for violating the Clean Water Act, Oil Pollution Act, and Refuse Act due to the discharge of pollutants. The MV Dolly crashed into the bridge on March 26, 2024, after losing electricity, propulsion, and steering, an incident the National Transportation Safety Board, NTSB, linked to a loose signal wire connection. The collapse resulted in the deaths of 6 construction workers, the destruction of critical infrastructure, environmental pollution in the Patapsco River and Chesapeake Bay, and economic damages exceeding $5 billion. Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche emphasized that the indictment is a crucial step towards holding those responsible accountable for their reckless disregard for maritime safety regulations. CBS News reports that the Senate has confirmed Kevin Warsh to the Federal Reserve's Board of Governors in a 51-45 vote. This is a critical step in President Trump's effort to install Warsh as the central bank's leader, replacing outgoing Chief Jerome Powell, whose term as chair concludes this Friday. A separate Senate vote is anticipated later this week to confirm Warsh as chair. Warsh, an alumnus of Stanford and Harvard Law, previously served as a Fed governor from 2006 to 2011, a period that included the global financial crisis. Known as a frequent critic of the Fed and open to lowering interest rates, his views align with President Trump's desires for aggressive rate cuts. Warsh's confirmation had faced uncertainty due to a criminal probe into Powell's testimony, which Powell claimed was an intimidation tactic. The probe has since been closed, though a Fed Inspector General review is pending. Powell intends to remain a rank-and-file board member until the investigation is fully resolved, making him the first outgoing Fed chair in over 75 years to do so. According to the Epoch Times, U.S. President Trump stated on Monday that the United States could deal with Iran's remaining military capabilities in approximately 1 day, asserting that Iran's military had been completely defeated except for residual forces. He announced upcoming important talks with military generals regarding Iran, while also emphasizing that a diplomatic solution remains very possible despite earlier criticism of Iran's bad response to the latest peace proposal. Trump reiterated that Iran must not possess nuclear weapons, noting that Iran had previously agreed to, but later reneged on, allowing the U.S. to remove its enriched uranium. The president also mentioned ongoing discussions about how to retrieve nuclear dust from destroyed facilities in Iran, as Iran claims it lacks the necessary technology. Furthermore, Trump is considering restarting Project Freedom, a U.S. operation aimed at rescuing trapped vessels in the Strait of Hormuz, which was briefly suspended last week. Reports from regional diplomats suggest that Iran's demand for war reparations is among the issues causing Trump's dissatisfaction, as he views it as an acknowledgement of defeat. Pakistan is reportedly mediating efforts to achieve a memorandum of understanding between the U.S. and Iran to end the conflict and facilitate broader dialogue. The Epoch Times reports that Japan and Taiwan are initiating cooperation in the drone sector to reduce their reliance on China. This move is a direct response to the Chinese Communist Party's significant military expansion and its leveraging of export controls. Japan is actively strengthening regional security partnerships and easing defense export restrictions, while Taiwan is keen to boost supply chain collaboration, particularly in drone technology. Although China currently dominates the drone market with low-cost production, recent Chinese export controls targeting Japanese firms could accelerate Japan's domestic drone R&D for components like batteries and motors. Despite Taiwan's recent defense budget cuts, industry cooperation is progressing. Since 2020, 15 agreements have been signed between Japanese and Taiwanese entities, covering supply chain, technology development, and disaster response. For instance, Taiwan's 7A drone company has partnered with Japanese firms for logistics and next-generation autonomous drones. Experts note that deeper Japan-Taiwan drone collaboration, particularly for civilian and potentially dual-use applications, has considerable potential but will require time. Japan aims to produce 80,000 domestic drones by 2030, seeking reliable partners for key components where Taiwan offers proven production and cost efficiency. While direct intergovernmental defense equipment deals are still distant, non-governmental organizations and industry associations are expected to drive initial collaboration. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.